Great. So let's give it a go. So Geoffrey, welcome again to our open source volunteering program. This is our um, ninth week of gathering. So this is one of our weekly thing we are running since 9 weeks. So today we are happy to have you here to listen your story, how you involve OpenStreetMap, and also like how did you start with a growing community in Uganda as a part of Map Uganda team, and as well as like you are also inspiring person for African young people, especially mapping related activities. So we would like to hear your experience in OpenStreetMap, and also especially like how OSM, how and why OSM is important for the places in developing part of the world. So I'm happy to give you the voice, and please introduce yourself shortly for the people who never met with you. I mean, most of the people in OSM world knows you, but still, our volunteers are very new to OpenStreetMap, so it would be nice to have a short introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Saeed, and thank you for having me today. I think it's an honor to be talking to you tonight. Yeah, so my name is Geoffrey Kateregga. I live in Kampala in Uganda, that is East Africa. So it's around 7 p.m. here, but there's still some daylight outside. Yeah, so my OSM journey, I started, I discovered about OpenStreetMap around 2012. I was at university, and I saw this poster. It had like mapping challenge. So I was a bit, I wanted to find out what mapping challenge it was. I didn't know about OpenStreetMap. So I participated in the challenge. It was a mapping party, so we had to go around and collect some kind of data and add it to OpenStreetMap. But after that mapping party, we had to do some mapping for another 4 weeks. And after that, the challenge winners were announced. I was one of the winners of the challenge, and the prize was going around the country teaching people OpenStreetMap. So I was new to OpenStreetMap, but I was also required to teach other people. So, but we were like a team of people. And for me, that was like the entry to OpenStreetMap.
Was this challenge organized by any international organization? Who was organizing this challenge?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there was a small community which was getting started by then. So we had, there was an organization called Fruits of Thought, which was running a project called Mapping Day. So through the Mapping Day project is how the challenge, the mapping challenge was organized. And I think they had a small grant from the Indigo Trust that also facilitated the like the trainings around the country, and also the mapping challenge. So yeah, but after that, I never looked back. I got more involved into the OpenStreetMap community locally in Uganda. So we had like regular meetups. And after that, we started contributing to humanitarian projects. So discovered about the humanitarian OpenStreetMap. And then around 2015, I also started working with the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team on a project in Tanzania. But for me, what really attracted me most to OpenStreetMap was, the data gaps in our country, because around 2011, like everything was not mapped. So you would find like a town when there's just a road going through, and you could see like real change, adding
So
it to the map.
to have like better picture of Uganda, what's the population of country and also like the city where you live in Kampala. So if you imagine that there is a huge city,
Mm.
Kampala, with crowd, and then there is only like one highway passing through from the center. So it will be nice to hear like what's the population and how the map looks like, and then how people are not presented on the map.
Yeah, so around that time, the population of Kampala was around 2.5 million people. Yeah, but now it has grown. It's growing very fast because now the population is around 4.5 million people. So
Wow.
it's a very it's fast growing, like people are moving to cities. Yeah, so you can just imagine, you know, such a big population, and when you look on the map, like nothing is there. So you could see like real making a real difference. But also I think adding things locally is very good, like using a smartphone and then move around and collect things and then add them to the map is I think for me it's much more exciting than doing remote mapping, because then you know that you add things locally that you know you use every day, but also sharing them with other people to use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you start with those training around Uganda, and then you teach people how to use OpenStreetMap, the importance of OpenStreetMap. Then
Mm.
is this the end? Is it how you start like to establish Map Uganda, or Map Uganda was already established?
Yeah, so yeah, when we got more involved with the community here, you know, organizing meetups, organizing trainings, we realized that we could achieve much more if we become more organized. So that's when we decided to form an organization called Map Uganda. So that was around 2017. So from 2012 to 2015, we were just a group, you know, doing meetups, but without having the organization. But then we created the organization in 2017, and now it is a full organization that does work around mapping in Uganda, and we are engaging different people, different OSM groups. So we have a lot of very many. We have like 10 youth mappers chapters here in Uganda. We also have like partnerships with government, with different organizations. Yeah, so we are growing. Yeah, but also we realized on the way that we could even inspire other groups around Africa to do what we're doing here. Uh, so we also started organizing and reaching out to people who are doing OpenStreetMap around Africa. So, and the way we did that was by just using WhatsApp group. Yeah, so we do have this WhatsApp group that has people who are leading OpenStreetMap communities from uh, we have like 50 countries now out of the 54 countries in Africa. So that's like
United
90%.
Africa, the United Africa WhatsApp group.
Exactly. So yeah, we
That
have like when you look at because there is a mailing list for Talk Africa, which is like very silent, like there is no conversation that happens there. But when you look at the WhatsApp group, then it's very busy, like people are always sharing about what they're doing in their countries, and also sharing tips and sharing resources. And I think what that means is that yeah, you have to find like what works for your community. So we realized like the mailing list was not going to work for us, and we decided to use the WhatsApp group to coordinate and communicate. But one of the things which we are proud of, which I've been able to do by now, is organizing a State of the Map Africa. So State of the Map Africa is like the regional conference for OpenStreetMap. So there is the global State of the Map conference, which is just called State of the Map. Then we have regional ones. So there is a State of the Map US, State of the Map Asia, State of the Map Latin America, and yeah, we realized why isn't there a State of the Map Africa? So we decided to organize State of the Map Africa. It started in Kampala in 2017. So it started here. And it happens once every 2 years. So we give ourselves enough time to prepare the conference. So in 2019, last year, it happened in Ivory Coast, which is in West Africa. And in 2021, it's happening again, which is happening in Nairobi in Kenya. So I'd really like to invite the Turkish OpenStreetMap community to join us. If you have ever, if you're interested in visiting Africa, that would be a very good opportunity. Nairobi is a beautiful country, Kenya. And of course, we just pray that the COVID situation will be clear so that people can freely travel and enjoy the conference. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. Coordinating with other communities in Africa, also growing the community here locally in Uganda.
It's a great journey that you start something very small in Kampala in Uganda. Then after it goes national overall Uganda, and then after like it became kind of continent level, and then you managed to organize 2 State of Map Africa conferences in 3 years. So I was lucky to join one of them last year, and then it was really great to be there and then meeting a lot of different mappers from around of the world. So can't wait for the next one. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. So like, can you also tell us a bit more like what are the challenges of communities in Africa? For instance, like we think that Turkish mappers are challenging with the language barrier. As far as I know, like English is the official language of Uganda, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
language is not one of your priority problem for the mappers. What are
Yeah.
the other challenges? I mean, I can also name some of the challenges in Uganda since I work a lot with the African communities. But just in order to like create a perspective, like what are the main challenges in Africa for the young people, for mappers to contribute and to support OSM?
Yeah, language is not a problem, but we also have other challenges. I think the very first one is access to internet, where you find people are interested, but in contributing, but then they don't have access to internet. Yeah, usually like it requires someone like the way people normally access internet here is through a smartphone. So someone gets data on their smartphone and then use that to tether to their mobile phone. So many young people who are interested in OpenStreetMap can't afford the internet because it's very expensive. Yeah, they just put like just little data to do social media, WhatsApp, Facebook. So when they go to mapping, which consumes a lot of data, they feel like they don't have enough data to contribute to OpenStreetMap. The second one is tools, like laptops, so computers. So not everyone has a computer. However much they want to contribute, they're not able to. But the good thing there is that many of them have smartphones. So we always encourage them to contribute like points of interest using their smartphones. The other challenge, which I think is also big, is also like the volunteer culture, because like OpenStreetMap is a volunteer project. So you have really to be really motivated to be able to contribute. So to get people to for them to pick interest and stay around, that's a challenge, because you may introduce OpenStreetMap to around 20 people and only maybe 10 keep around and continue contributing. And
Which is
the
very,
other
very high retention, I must say, like 50%. It's quite high retention. It
yeah.
shows that there is some interest.
Yeah, and that's because we have also changed the approach a little bit. We found that students, especially at university, they are more likely to stick around than like people working for government. because like I think there is a real interest for students because they get skills. I think for me, OpenStreetMap is a good way for people to discover new things, especially around GIS, and cartography, and the spatial analysis, which is like a whole big field out there. And I know people who have discovered it through OpenStreetMap and have piqued like real interest. So I think young people at university, they're good to learn about OpenStreetMap because they get the skills. Some of them use these tools in their projects, like in their final year project. So there is a benefit for them, and also they have like access to internet because like you find at the university where they are, there is like a local area network and they can easily access internet there. So it's also easier for them to stay around. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for mapping out the challenges and then the motivation of community members, why they are willing to join.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of curious to hear. Um, so there is a community who contribute to OpenStreetMap, and then who are the consuming OpenStreetMap in Uganda? Is it the only people who are contributing, or um, do you think like government also use or rely on OSM data, or some humanitarian organization also like end user like citizen? So what's the most used let's say map in Uganda? For instance, like in big cities, for instance in Istanbul, like most of the people use either Google Maps or Yandex for daily purposes. So how does it look like in your case?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I forgot one challenge before I answer the question, which is like less women in mapping. So I think I'm happy to see several women here on this call, which is impressive. So we need also some tips from Take on how to get more women involved in open mapping. So in terms of data usage, I think that's one of the challenges we have as OpenStreetMap, because out of 10 people you talk to, only one person knows about OpenStreetMap. And that is because we don't use it daily. Like people are going always to, like if you go to search for place, people always use like Google search. And like if a place exists on OpenStreetMap, it will never pop up like in the Google results for someone to find that place. So I think that's a challenge that we all have as the global community, to try to make applications that use OpenStreetMap data. Like I've mentioned, Yandex. I think we have like a few like bike hiking, transport applications around Kampala, but they use Google Maps for some reason. However much we have more detailed data on OpenStreetMap, but we also have a few of them who use OpenStreetMap data, although like on their app interface it shows Google Maps, but the data that they use is pulled from OpenStreetMap. So like in terms of like data consumption, we have done some few projects here which are like structured, where we try to identify data user, which are also like funded. That's where we have like approached government and worked directly with government. That's like the only opportunity where we have someone actually using the data. So here we have like the city authority. It's called Kampala Capital City Authority. So they use OpenStreetMap data, especially to get data like we have mapped around mapping like the trash points around Kampala, also data around public transport. So they use that data in their programming. We also have organizations like the UNHCR. Yeah, so we did like a refugee mapping project here. So Uganda hosts like 1.5 million refugees, and yeah, we did the mapping of the refugee settlements, and the United Nations Agents for Refugees uses this data to bring services to the people. So I think the way we have gotten people to use data is through directly engaging with them and introducing them to OpenStreetMap, showing them how it works, how they can access the data. But in terms of like businesses, like startups using the data, that's a little, that's not something that is yet happening. So we need more like developers to, to learn about OpenStreetMap data and start using it, which is still a
Yeah,
challenge, yeah.
that's kind of clear picture for the data like OSM conception in Uganda. I can see like more or less Turkey we're in the more or less same level. It's not very used by the government yet. It's not used extensively by the startups or private companies. There are like some couple of good examples where government use OSM, even though they're not attributing nicely by respecting the guideline. But however, it's still thing, and then the artisan has a really important role on this to make OpenStreetMap more visible. And
Mm.
it's part of Youth Season organization who is also coordinating this volunteering program. We are also trying to helping out to raise awareness of OpenStreetMap in locally here in Istanbul and Turkey. So it was really nice to have you, Geoffrey. And then I just want to ask our volunteers if they have any questions or any thoughts and comments, because this is just like common space where we can also interact other contributors to OpenStreetMap, and then it's a great time to have a questions. Um, yeah, feel free to ask if you have any questions.
I can have, and if nobody is stepping up at the moment.
Yeah, please.
So we are trying to establish a firm Turkish community at the moment. So what I'm going to ask maybe is about the next step, but uh, where on how you suggest the volunteers that are here with us uh, can be part of the international community. So we are starting to build up a national community, but how that national community can also integrate itself with the international community. So if you have any suggestions or ways to show or suggest, it will be, I think, very valuable.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question, Chan. I think for me, one of the things I've mostly enjoyed about OpenStreetMap is the community, connecting with people from all over the world, contributing to the same kind of project. So I think like participation in the international community is very important. So one of the things that they can do is to participate in the OSM Foundation activities. So the OSM Foundation has what we call working groups. There is like communications working group, there's community working group, there is the data working group, yeah, which are always seeking for volunteers. So that's one way to really get involved. Secondly, to become an official member of the foundation, which can happen either to pay a membership fee, which is £15 per year. The other new membership which they have started is the active contributor membership. And what it means is if you are a contributor for 47 days out of 365 days, you're an active contributor, and you can get free active membership through that. So I think it's a very good opportunity to get the OSM Foundation to be more inclusive and also have regional, like global representation. So that's, I think, a very good opportunity also to get involved. Yeah, and of course, the other way is through the humanitarian mapping. So the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team has always requests for people to help out mapping. So yeah, beyond mapping your city, your town, you can also respond to to humanitarian mapping efforts and volunteer your time mapping on for humanitarian cause. So those are three ways I can point out on how to get involved in the wider OSM community.
Yeah, that's a really great answer for making Turkish community more involved in international community. Yeah, do we have any other questions for Geoffrey? Yeah, I think it seems we are good. I mean, if you feel any translation support, you can also ask in Turkish, then I can help you out for translating. No, I think we are fine. Geoffrey, it was really nice to have you here tonight, this evening. And then thanks for your time and then sharing your experience with local experience as well as your international experience with OpenStreetMap. And we will continue with our weekly thing to see like what's our progress. We'll be continuing in Turkish, but feel free if you want to sit in. Otherwise, we are really happy to have you here. So see you next time, maybe in an international conference or another online event. And
Yeah,
also, I'm really thankful to Oz to set up this video call with Geoffrey.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think I'll leave you to continue. Just one thing I think I would love to be in touch with you is also to, yeah, if there's anything you can share about the translations that you are doing, maybe run like a translation webinar, because I think there are several communities that, for example, speak Arabic, Swahili here in East Africa, that would benefit from translating tools to their local language, but they don't know that process. So yeah, I think I'll be in touch with Oz or you, Said, just to see if we can arrange something. But thank you so much for having me, and I'll leave you to continue with the rest of the session.
Yeah, sure. It will be a pleasure to share our experience, and Oz had a great presentation on Hot Summit. And then we are also happy to share further experience with you for helping out these communities.
Thank you.
Thanks for being our guest, Geoffrey. Sorry
right.
for not attending that much, but I guess through unstable internet connection, I barely understand what you talked about.
Yeah, we can hear well, Oz. Don't worry. All right, I will just